Tom Homan effect already working in Minneapolis? Let's check it out. And welcome to Rob Schmitt Tonight. This morning, the border czar Tom Homan held a news conference from Minneapolis aimed at calming a situation that is spinning out of control. Democrats, mortified of losing their future voting base and their Biden immigration scam, have electrified immigration, now pretending that border control is akin to fascism. Our ICE and Border Patrol agents have been the victims of this manufactured chaos. They did not deserve this. And although it's not the administration's fault that we're at this point, the administration decided to make the first move to cool this off before more people like Alex Pretti, who we've now learned was a violent, perpetual agitator of federal law enforcement, are killed. A very calm and a very cool Tom Homan this morning.
Give us access to the illegal alien public safety threat and the safety and security of a jail. It's common sense. It's safer for the community, it's safer for the agent, and it's safer for the alien. Because anything can happen on a street arrest. It just makes common sense.
Common sense. This is what the president talks about all the time. It's just common sense. The policies are common sense. And very quickly, Homan has made a major breakthrough in Minneapolis, convincing the Attorney General of the state, Keith Ellison, to allow county jails to contact ICE when a public safety risk illegal is released from jail. That's common sense. That is also somehow, in this lunatic state, a major capitulation from these people. You wonder how that was achieved. Perhaps Homan reminded Ellison that the DOJ has clear evidence that he was involved in the Somali fraud scheme in his state. Audio of Ellison, we've all heard, telling soon-to-be charged fraudsters who stole loads of cash from a COVID program to feed kids that he has the ability to make those problems go away, helping scammers who donated that stolen money to his campaign. Ellison is filthy dirty. We don't know if that was part of the pressure campaign on Ellison to force him into this capitulation, to allow these jails to contact ICE, to do the right thing, the common sense. But something certainly did work in these last 2 days. Additionally, Democrats are now being told to not go to Minnesota and stir up any more chaos by the DNC. It does make you wonder. Something shifted. What was it that worked? This morning, Homan revealing what really scares him as he attempts to clean up Biden's open border.
The 2 million plus known gotaways, why did they pay more to get away? Why didn't they pay less, turn yourself in, get released within 24 hours? You get a free airline ticket to the city of your choice. We're going to give you a free hotel room, and we'll give you free food and free medical care. And you'll get work authorization in 6 months. Why did 2 million people choose to pay more not to take advantage of that giveaway program? They didn't want to be vetted. They didn't want to be fingerprinted. That scares the hell out of me.
That should scare the hell out of you, too. 2 million people came into our country and passed up all the freebies just to avoid being fingerprinted and given a court date. That's the true reality of Biden's 4-year open border scam to give his party endless power. And as common sense is implemented by the Trump administration, it's met by agents of chaos like Alex Pretti. This is the response to common sense border controls. Yet another psyop was the story of this man. For days now, we've been told that he was a sweet young man who would never hurt a fly, who was ruthlessly murdered. Take a listen to Liz Warren.
Caring for people was at the core of who he was. He was incapable of causing harm. Alex carried patience, compassion, and calm as a steady light within him. Even at the very end, that light was there. I recognized his familiar stillness and signature calm composure.
Incapable of causing harm, says Liz Warren on the floor of the Senate. They have no idea what they're talking about. It gets worse. Senator Dick Durbin will likely be firing some staffers tonight because Durbin today on the floor of the Senate claimed that this was an image of the final moment of Alex Pretti's life. Look at how awful that looks. Like a just straight up assassination to the back of the head. Only that's not an image of the last moments of Alex Pretti's life. That's an AI image made by a left-wing propagandist that somebody just pulled off the internet. Notice that the Border Patrol officer on one knee, right there in the front, has no head. It's impressive to do that job with no head. It's hard enough with a head. These people are humiliating themselves in an effort to hold on to these 20 million illegal immigrants. Tim Walz calling the situation in Minneapolis akin to Fort Sumter, the opening shots of the Civil War. Senator Ed Markey looks like he was alive for the Revolutionary War and is comparing the radical left-wing pawns that his party is using to fight basic immigration law to the Minutemen who fought the British.
At a critical point in the history of our nation, we are seeing something that is absolutely unprecedented. It actually goes back 250 years in Boston when the Minutemen and Minutewomen rose up in order to stand against King George and his arbitrary imposition of laws illegally upon American citizens. And this latter-day generation of patriots, they're rising up in Minneapolis, they're rising up across the country.
How many dozens of times has that fossil approved funding for immigration controls in this country? Every year for how many years? He's been in Congress since, I think, the 70s. Now suddenly, at 79 years old, it's fascism and must be met by a militia, apparently. You deserve so much better than these people. Take a listen to Pramila Jayapal. At least she's somewhat honest in this moment, giving us the real agenda. When Democrats take back power, the borders are done.
We really need to, as soon as we get the gavels back, we have to dismantle DHS and ICE and CBP.
To great applause from her supporters. With that, we arrive back to the real plan. Flood our country with people supremely loyal to her party. Spread them around into swing states. Then comes the amnesty bill. Before you know it, they're all voting. And even conservative migrants, and a lot of them come from conservative countries in Latin America, they're not going to vote to be deported, but they're sure as hell going to vote. And they're going to vote blue every chance they get. It's their only chance at staying. Loyal to the Democrat Party to the end. This map has been very popular this week. You've seen it on the show a couple of times. The census that's coming here, 4 years, shows Democrats will soon lose a lot of power. This is how they plan to fight a populace that won't be able to give them their destructive policies in the near future. That's what all these migrants are for. A plan that's being implemented in Spain as we speak, actually. We can kind of see into the future when you look at Spain right now. Suicidal left-wing policies in Spain are driving Spanish voters to vote more conservative. The establishment gaslights its people and calls that move to more conservative voting and thinking radical and far right. So the ruling party says, we'll just replace your vote with 500,000 North African migrants who will be endlessly loyal to whichever party lets them in and gives them status, which of course will be the left. 500,000 to defeat the far right, the headline from the Telegraph says. A quote from a spokesperson for the left-wing ruling party: we not only intend to remain a beacon, but I want to believe that we will be a seed and a germ to fight against the advance of this far right wave that is trying to gain ground, and against which we will do everything in our power to stop it. Look at that. Saying granting 500,000 Africans citizenship will fight institutional racism that only fuels exploitation and racist hatred. What did they really do? A treasonous move against their own people is what they've just made. People who want a conservative government, they said, you can't have it. We don't want you to have it because that's not what we can give you. You won't vote to destroy your country? We'll replace you with someone who will. We're going to go to some breaking news right now. We've got the president, I believe, on the red carpet for the Melania premiere. There's the lady herself, the First Lady, looking beautiful. The premiere tonight, the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., and the president just off there to the left. We're going to see if we can get some comments here, maybe. Let's listen in.
And just once we're here, ma'am, thank you.
One more up top here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Hello. We're at Amazon. How are you?
What's your favorite part of the film?
Sir, we have a few questions for you. Would
It's
you
very
mind sharing
hard
a quick
to
interview?
choose. There are many scenes, and people will connect. You will see humor, you will see grief, you will see fashion. So I'm very proud of the film, and it's not easy to produce. It's not easy task.
Melania, do you mind coming for a couple? We're with Amazon. Amazon? Yes. We're over here. And then I think we're just going to have you push to the light a little bit.
Sure.
Come a little more forward. And then turn to your left.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell me what inspired you to make this documentary?
Well, my life, it's incredible busy. A lot of is going on. I want to show the people what it takes to go from private citizen.
Okay, so we've got the First Lady there. This is the premiere of her film tonight, Melania. This is the Trump Kennedy Center, Washington, D.C. She's taken some questions. I just saw the president veer over, I thought, potentially to maybe other reporters. I'm not exactly sure. We want to hold here for a second and just listen in and just see if we can catch the president make a comment here.
It's a lot of...
Can you elevate that a little bit? Just...
How do we get that audio?
Mr. President.
Am I still up?
It's really going to be very important. It shows life in the White House. It's a big deal, actually.
What was Tulsi Gabbard doing at an election center in Georgia today?
She's working very hard on trying to keep the election safe, and she's done a very good job. And they, as you know, they got into the votes. They got a signed judge's order in Georgia, and you're going to see some interesting things happening. They've been trying to get there for a long time.
Will you keep pulling back immigration enforcement agents out of
We
Minnesota?
want to keep our country safe. We'll do whatever we can to keep our country safe.
What are you trying to...
No, not at all.
Sir, what are you trying to achieve with the executive order on Cuba?
Amazon still. We're a different outlet on Amazon. What most inspired you to make the film and give audiences this look, this very personal look into your story?
I want to show the audience my life, what it takes to be a First Lady again, and transition from private citizen back to the White House. What task I need to tackle. And they will...
She's a very brilliant person, actually, and speaks many languages, but that's the least of it. She's doing a great job. She's very popular. The people of the country really love her.
Brett and John told me that she's very influential, more than most folks might think, because she's so private and reserved. How true is that? How much are you talking to the First Lady when it comes to policy and things? Not about Barron and family, but about the country.
Great influence. She's really a historian.
Okay, so trying to juggle this thing, it's a complicated little moment here because you got a lot of cameras and you have two very important people at the same time doing interviews. And Melania is obviously talking about her new film, which is all about her life and who she is. And the president's been hugely supportive of that. And this is the big premiere tonight. The president was asked about a couple different topics, including what happened in Georgia yesterday with the Fulton County election office being raided by the FBI, a number of boxes taken in regards to the 2020 election, where that might lead. We're going to talk about that story coming up later in the show. But let's take it back full screen here for a second. Just take a few more seconds of this, and then we will move along. The president and Melania Trump at the premiere of her new film.
Otherwise, I'll have to go to work very quickly. No, I'll be announcing the Fed chair tomorrow morning.
Mr. President?
All right, Senator Markwayne Mullin joins us now from the Capitol. Good to see you, sir. I want to start with Tom Homan this morning, who was very, very calm and cool at 8 o'clock this morning, clearly trying to bring the temperature down on this issue, and also getting the AG, Keith Ellison in Minnesota, to agree to allow county jails to inform ICE when illegal criminals that are a safety risk are released back into the community. That's a pretty big step forward and toward common sense here, isn't it?
Rob, first of all, I think Tom just set an absolute perfect tone. He had pre-meeting before he did the press conference. He made it very clear he wasn't there for photo ops. He didn't back up a step. He didn't say ICE isn't going to be arresting illegals, but he talked about cooperation. He talked about a strong tone, and he talked about trying to work with local law enforcement. And so I think it was a perfect choice from President Trump, trying to switch the tone a little bit, but still enforcing our nation's laws.
Yeah. You know, the fact that this wasn't being allowed, you know, I think what it really showed today is that this administration can be calm and cool on this issue, but also showing just an indication of just how absurd the left has been on this, that Ellison is now going to allow these jails to say, hey, here's a guy that killed somebody and he's here illegally. We're going to release him back onto the streets. We weren't allowing you to know this before, but now we will. It really proves who's on the right side of all this, doesn't it?
Well, it's really hard for them to not cooperate with us. Remember, underneath the Obama administration, they cooperated with ICE, and you didn't see this happen. What would happen at that time is local law enforcement or state enforcement would arrest these individuals, and ICE would simply go to the detention centers and pick them up. These sanctuary cities came in and started fighting Trump in his first term. They didn't continue fighting Biden because Biden did nothing on immigration when he was in office, and now they've just picked it up now. Now, keep in mind, Rob, we haven't had these same issues in St. Louis. We didn't have these issues in Memphis. We didn't have these issues in D.C. The only place we're having these issues is in Minneapolis, because why? Local officials aren't allowing local law enforcement to do their job.
Yeah, that and just the ridiculous rhetoric coming from the leaders of Minnesota as well. Jay Paul says Democrats are going to dismantle essentially all of our border enforcement when they get power again. Tim Walz is likening this moment to the opening battle of the Civil War. You've got Ed Markey calling these lunatic protesters, comparing them to the Minutemen of the Revolutionary War. You work with some pretty insane people in that building, don't you?
Yeah, to say it mildly. Unfortunately, Tim Walz, I say unfortunately because it's unfortunate for Minnesota he's not still here, because Minnesota would be in a lot better place without him trying to govern that place. Yes, the rhetoric, the idea that's coming out of the Democrat Party, you can't even make sense with it. It's like this: you can't argue with crazy, because that's where this far left wing of the Democrat Party is at today.
Senator Markwayne Mullin, nice hat. Does the hat have to match the tie?
Thanks, brother.
Is that mandatory? Is that a thing? No,
it's just got to match the boots.
It's got to match the boots. That's right. Good to see you, Senator. Thanks so much. All right, Senator Markwayne Mullin, their interview we did just a few hours ago. We've got the premiere back here live, the Melania premiere at the Kennedy Center, the Trump Kennedy Center tonight. The president's still there taking a few questions. Melania there as well. And we're going to keep an eye on this. Obviously, and the film's going to start here in about 12 minutes, I believe, at 7:30 there in Washington, D.C. Can we hear anything at this point, guys?
Tomorrow morning, I've chosen a very good person to head the Fed. I'll be putting that out tomorrow morning.
I think for myself, it's
Mr. President, what is
your message?
Okay, so there the president just wandered off. He did make some big news there a second ago. He's going to announce the new head of the Federal Reserve, his nomination to head the Federal Reserve. Too late, Jerome Powell's days are numbered, so that announcement will be tomorrow morning. We'll find that out. Coming up here after the break, a fiery debate on immigration with a former Bernie Sanders staffer. Plus, most of the country is frozen solid. It might snow in Tampa this weekend. We talked to New Yorkers and asked, what happened to global warming?
They used to talk about global warming a lot. This is the coldest I think I've ever felt in my life these last 5-6 days.
Donald Trump's second presidency is changing America. Now you need to watch Rob Schmitt Tonight on President Trump's next big move. Then tune into Rob Finnerty taking on Trump's critics. President Trump says he watches Newsmax. You should too. Download our Newsmax app to watch us anytime, anywhere. Millions are making the switch to Newsmax. Be one.
Ready for relief?
I just want relief.
I needed relief. you just want relief. Like, you just want it to go away.
You need the Signal Relief Patch.
We all hurt, whether it's our neck, back, knees, or shoulders. Pain keeps you from doing the things that matter most. In a recent study, 85% of people felt relief.
As a surgeon, I put it on, and I can't explain why it works. I can just tell you, it does work.
Some people think this is just in my head, but I know that it works. It's working.
The Signal Relief Patch for me offered up independence.
The Signal Relief Patch for me actually means pain relief.
With a Signal Patch, I've been able to sleep, walk, and work.
Relief. That's what the Signal Patch gave me.
It was phenomenal. Why aren't more people trying this?
Join the thousands who have experienced relief, and it comes with a money-back guarantee. Get your patch today.
Don't go. I got to. It's time to screen for colon cancer. Also, I'm just going to the porch.
Cologuard is for people 45 plus, at average risk, not high risk.
False positive and negative results may occur. Ask your provider or request Cologuard online.
Any city should listen to the Department of Homeland Security.
We have certain obligations to enforce the laws that are in place, even if we think that in many cases the results may be tragic.
Open borders.
Open borders.
That's a Koch brothers proposal. Make everybody in America poor. Then you're doing away with the concept of a nation state. And I don't think there's any country in the world which believes in that.
Interesting to look back in time a little while, isn't it? Just to go back maybe 10, 15 years even. What happened to the Democrat Party on immigration is the question tonight. Not too long ago, they wanted a strong border to protect your wages, as Bernie just said, to protect the sovereignty of the wealthiest nation in the world. Republicans used to blow them off. Heavily lobbied by corporations that wanted cheap workers, Republicans were the ones that just kind of said, didn't mind having those seasonal laborers coming in. Now, today, not that long later, Democrats call the border policies that they supported 15 years ago fascist. It is quite a moment we're in. Nomiki Knost is a former senior advisor to Bernie Sanders' 2016 and 2020 presidential campaigns. She believes ICE must be totally abolished, which is an interesting take that we wanted to ask her about, and she joins us now. And Nomiki, thanks for coming on, being a good sport. Good to meet you here. Give us your idea, because obviously you heard Bernie. That was your guy there for a long time, talking about how you can't have open borders. What do you say?
I think ICE is very different than open borders. We have only had ICE for 25 years. It was established under very different terms than it's operating now after 9/11. Now, the Border Patrol is a completely different thing, as we know. I went to school at University of Arizona, very close to the border, very familiar with the border and how people come back and forth, and it actually helps the economy of Southern Arizona in particular to be able to have a more fluid border. That's not open. That just means there's a process. What Bernie Sanders wanted, and I think a lot of Democrats wanted 10 years ago, was immigration reform, as well as Republicans. George Bush wanted immigration reform. ICE is not that. ICE is an agency that has no oversight, that's rounding up folks, that's violent, that is not following the laws, and that is why only 38% today, only 38% of Americans approve of Donald Trump and the Republican Party's immigration policies right now, because ICE is not operating the way the police department does. They're not following the same laws, and they're not even showing their identities.
Let me just interject for a second, because I hear what you're saying, but when you dump 15 or 20 million people into a country in 4 years and have no border, something is going to have to change to reverse that and fix that, which was the biggest mandate that I think Trump got that got him back into the White House. And I still see polling that indicates the majority of people in this country do want the illegals deported out of the country. After 4 years of having no borders, they want them gone. And that's the job that's been given to ICE and Border Patrol. And it might be different than it used to be, but we've never been in a situation like this.
Well, I'm really surprised, because I remember the last 9 months in particular of the Biden administration that there were barely any. The border was as strong as it could be. I don't know if you've ever spent a lot of time at the border. It is very difficult to get through. The amount of funding that we put into DHS is out of control, and it is only increasing. This year alone, 75% increase in ICE agents in 1 year entirely. But they're not doing things at the border, and they're not even really deporting people through any process. They're deporting people who are citizens. They're deporting people who are naturalized.
Well, mistakes are made because they have to get rid of 15, 20 million people. There's going to be some mistakes made.
Don't you believe
there
in
was
process?
there was no process to bring them all in either. We just dumped them all here and created an absolute disaster that cost you guys the last election. It was treasonous what you did to the border. And then they cleaned it up at the very end because they wanted to try to win in 2024.
There is no open border. Go to the border. I urge you.
Wait, there isn't now.
Go to the wall. Go 5 years ago, 6 years ago. There are always agents at the border. There are plenty of reports. I mean, I think you live in a bubble where you want to pretend that there was this open border. But I go back and forth. I used to go back and forth.
What were the numbers? Like 400,000 a month coming in? Like, that's not an open border?
400,000 a month, and it was not all undocumented people. There were people going through a process. There were people who were going through. It was very difficult. You know, there was a line. The consulates that are in
Why
Mexico,
did it change right before the 2024 election?
It did change right before. He just put more funds in the
you just admitted that it all got secured up right before they wanted us to vote for Kamala Harris.
And it was reduced, extraordinarily reduced, by tactics that I basically don't agree with, by the way. You know, I think what's fascinating about this is that on top of it, you also have this naturalization process that has been completely bottlenecked for years. Yeah. And so desperate times call for desperate measures. Do you know what the number one undocumented last year? What country the country that the top undocumented number of people came from?
The country where the most undocumented came from? I'm going to say something Central America. I don't know.
China.
Oh well, they fly them in. And they have kids and then they get the foothold here. I do understand that there are obviously problems with immigration.
I don't think it's bad. It's complicated. I think that we have a gross misunderstanding of what actually happens at the border and how immigration works and how naturalization works. But what's more important right now is ICE is a separate issue. ICE is not the immigration reform conversation.
I understand. I have to find a place to end this conversation because I got blown out of the water by Melania's premiere. But I do appreciate you coming on and being a good sport.
An immigrant. Curious.
Yeah.
I want to know what her process was like because he doesn't want to naturalize people. She was naturalized. His own mother was naturalized. His ex-wife was naturalized.
Well, yeah, but you need to have border controls. And I do really have to leave it there. Nomiki, thank you so much. Good to see you. All right, for 4 days, the media told you this man was a mild-mannered nurse with a heart of gold. That's next with Rick and Ed.
This is like the perfect guy. Alex Pretti is the guy you would want to date your daughter.
Why are so many dogs dying before their time? In my experience, great health starts with great food. That's why I created Badlands Ranch Superfood Complete. It contains powerful canine superfoods that directly support your dog's digestion, skin and coat, mobility, and so much more. And it's air dried. That means cooked low and slow, no high heat. We have thousands of 5-star reviews. And for a limited time, get up to 50% off with our special TV offer. Go to badlandsranch.com/TV. That's badlandsranch.com/TV.
He's breathing. Okay, go again.
Nearly 5,000 people die from choking each year. That's frightening. I'm Dr. Ben Carson.
And I'm Arthur Lee. Well, there are ways to help prevent choking. Accidents do happen. That's why I invented the Life Pack.
Anyone can use this device, and it can save a life in seconds.
Just place, push, and pull. It's that simple. Please order one for your home, office, car, anywhere you eat.
Go to lifehack.net or call 877-543-3822.
Your Florida life is calling, and we have the answer. Valencia in Florida by GL Homes. Premium 55-plus living in 5 prime Florida locations. Gorgeous new homes from the mid-300s to $2.5 million. World-class resort-style living 24/7. Huge clubhouses, on-site dining, pickleball, and more. Effortless, low-maintenance living. Valencia, your Florida life is calling. Experience more at valenciaflorida.com.
What's gold is new again. Pardon the pun. But considering gold has been used as currency since around 550 BC, it has been on fire the past year. I'm here with Daniel Boston, the founder of Preserve Gold. Why is gold so stable and such a good investment for many people?
Take the central bank, for example, the Federal Reserve. They print money out of thin air, and then they take that printed money to go buy hard assets like gold to protect themselves against the very risks that they're creating. So I always tell people, don't do what the big players are telling you to do. Do what they're doing themselves.
Yeah, watch what they're doing.
That's correct.
Okay. If people are interested in investing with Preserve Gold, how do they get started?
Text Newsmax to 50505 to get your free information and up to $15,000 in free gold and silver with a qualified purchase. That's right. Text Newsmax to 50505.
All right. No way you can miss it.
Do you care where the economy is headed? What about elections? Or climate change? See the forecast consensus on our future at IBKR Forecast Trader. If you disagree, you can buy the contract that looks undervalued. But be careful. You must be right more than 50.5% of the time to win. Go to IBKR Forecast Trader.
The grind catches up with everyone, even me. That's why I trust Cunol Ultra High Absorption Turmeric to support my joint health. It's the #1 doctor-recommended form of turmeric. It helps you keep doing the things you love at every age. Cunol, the brand I trust.
Generally speaking, unruly.
The dehumanizing rhetoric of Adolf Hitler is once again alive and well.
This version of Biden is the best Biden ever.
This is like the perfect guy. Alex Pretti is the guy you would want to date your daughter. The guy you would want your son to grow up to be. A decent human being who was serving humanity.
Truly amazing that anybody still listens to these people, but they do. Anna Navarro, they're gushing over a man that she knew nothing about, a man she had never met, all just based on whatever was politically viable on that evening for her, making an idiot out of herself for the zillionth time, I'd say. New video shows Alex Pretti spitting at federal officers right there, screaming, "Assault me," demanding that he be assaulted, kicking the taillight right off the truck of federal law enforcement. All of this a week before he was unfortunately shot and killed by Border Patrol agents, a death that has been called outrageous, they said, because Pretti was so peaceful and so wonderful. You heard that for 3-4 days before this video was revealed. NBC trying to bury this new revelation as well. How do they frame the video that we just showed you? Oh, Alex Pretti was interacting with federal agents days before fatal shooting. Interacting. Boy, NBC News. NBC's Crazy X, MS Now, acting about the same. Host Nicole Wallace catfishing her audience, airing a fake AI-enhanced photo of Pretti, while ironically telling the audience that the Trump administration is demanding people not believe their eyes. Take a listen.
Another killing of a nonviolent bystander by ICE agents in Minneapolis. This time it was 37-year-old Alex Pretti. Donald Trump and his cabinet, his administration, are demanding once again that you not believe your eyes and ears.
We can't believe our eyes and ears. Can we believe yours? The photo before and after, they glammed him up. A man that had been shot and killed for some reason. Why? To make it, what, a better story? How vile. Ed Henry's new show, The Big Take, airs weeknights, 5 p.m. Eastern Time right here on Newsmax. N2 host Rick Leventhal, The Leventhal Report, also with us tonight. Good to have you both here. Rick, I want to start with you. I mean, the rhetoric, everything about this story, and then that video comes in yesterday and changes everything about what we thought we knew about Alex Pretti.
They call him nonviolent, and yet he was the opposite of nonviolent. Nobody behaves like that, Robert. Let's not forget that he was apparently armed in that first confrontation as well. You wear a handgun, and then you go out into the street and challenge law enforcement to a fight. He's spitting at one of the officers or agents, and then kicking their vehicle multiple times, breaking their taillight, resisting. And by the way, this is just one video that we know of. Right. There could be videos like this every single day. As far as we know, Pretti was following them daily and doing this daily. He was not a non-violent protester. He was purposely putting himself in harm's way repeatedly, and we don't know anything else about the guy besides he used to be a nurse. So this is a clear example of the media transforming, changing the narrative, and trying to whitewash what apparently was a guy who was determined to get hurt or maybe killed to prove a point, I guess. Yeah. But what he did was just plain stupid. And I would not want him dating my daughters, by the way.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was it. I mean, they said the dumbest things over the 3-4 days. They don't know anything about him, Ed. That was the point. Nobody knew anything about this guy, but he was a hero in their eyes.
Yeah, Jake Tapper said all he did was blow a whistle at a protest. He's a peaceful protester guy. He really reminds me of Mahatma Gandhi, you know? It's all nonsense, liberal lies, and I think Rick's right. I feel so bad for Ana Navarro's daughter or daughters, whatever she has. If this is what she thinks her daughter should be married off to. I mean, there was Beyonce, right, who said, should have put a ring on it. I guess Ana Navarro has a really sick sense of right and wrong. I was raised by my parents that basically, as I'm sure you, that basically if the police come to you, even if you didn't do anything wrong, cooperate.
Yes.
Be respectful.
Yes.
How has America changed to this point where the left just looks the other way? And I agree with everything you said at the top. Of course it's tragic this man died. I hope and pray that nobody else dies. Tom Homan made that clear today. But you respect the police and you answer their questions. You don't spit on them, obviously.
Yeah, this narrative that they've created is that police, law enforcement just walk around randomly killing people because that's been good for their politics in recent years. That's how they drive low-income inner-city people out to vote so they can sustain their power. Look at the damage they've done to this country and to, I think, the stability of this country with that rhetoric. That's how dangerous the Democrat line is on this. Guys, to you both, CNN with a town hall last night in Minneapolis. They hosted the mayor, Jacob Frey. They hosted the attorney general, Keith Ellison. Stephen Chung over at the White House noticed something, saying that they stacked the audience with Democrat donors and liberal activists, posting numerous examples. They had actually found out the people that were in the audience asking questions. Look at them showing the Act Blue donations from the people that were in the audience. This is just a random Minneapolis town hall. Right, Rick?
Yeah, they do stack the deck. Of course they stack the deck because they don't want any questions that might upend the apple cart. And how much is Jacob Frey enjoying all this attention from CNN and MSNBC? The guy is milking this for all it's worth and ignoring the reality of the situation, that there are criminals roaming his streets and ICE agents are there to arrest those criminals. And for him to tell them to get out of his state is a disservice to his people, the citizens of that state, and the citizens across America who are listening to this guy demean a federal agency that's been working for multiple decades doing the exact same work. It's just pathetic and it's awful. And this guy should pay a price for basically putting a price on their heads.
Yeah. Ed, I got 10 seconds. Finish it off.
Yeah. Hey, what I'm going to say is Tim Walz is even worse. And he's now told MS Now in an exclusive he will never run for office again. That's one good thing that has come from this. Tim Walz off the stage. To think the Democrats wanted him to be a heartbeat from the presidency. Unbelievable.
It was a bizarre political career we got to watch. It blow up and then fade all in about 18 months. Ed Henry, Rick Leventhal, good to see you guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you. You too.
Last night, our Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, was in Fulton County, Georgia, as the FBI raided the election hub there and left with a lot of boxes. What are we about to learn about the 2020 election?
A new president is sworn in. America's greatness is restored. Millions of Americans are tuning in to Newsmax. Even President Trump says Newsmax is terrific. Watch Newsmax or download our free app on your TV or phone today.
I'm an assistant principal at an intermediate school and a former softball and basketball coach. I'm also the father of 2 daughters. Keeping my students and children happy and safe is my top priority. But too many kids today are struggling, from stuff at home to falling behind in school and the overuse of devices. There are many factors contributing to the youth mental health challenge, and they should all be taken into account. We need comprehensive solutions to support parents and kids.
Don't kibble your dog.
Oh, hey, Dr. Marty.
Hey, Bat.
But what's wrong with this? It's premium stuff.
Let's check it out. It's still kibble, which means it's ultra-processed at extremely high temperatures that destroy the nutrients in the food. But at Dr. Marty, we gently freeze-dried premium meats, fruits, and vegetables, locking in their nutrients.
Never kibbled.
You got it, kid, and they're gonna love it.
Your data is like a single domino. The moment it's stolen, it starts a chain reaction that puts the information that guards your assets at risk. 1 in 3 Americans have been a victim of identity theft. Are you willing to risk it?
When I saw zeros on that screen as my bank account balance, I went to immediate panic.
$21,000 just gone. I opened my account,
and $30,000 is missing. Like $30,000. I have no idea what to do.
If your personal information is stolen, are you prepared to pick up the pieces alone? LifeLock is the leader in identity theft protection and restoration.
Once LifeLock got involved, everything changed.
With LifeLock, if your identity is stolen, they'll step in and fix it so you don't have to, guaranteed. Our highly trained U.S.-based restoration specialists contact institutions, dispute fraudulent charges, close compromised accounts, and even procure legal support far beyond the capabilities of your bank or credit card company.
LifeLock pursued this case further than I ever would have imagined.
If you call right now, you'll get LifeLock for just $9.99 a month for your first year. And as extra protection, all LifeLock memberships include the $1 Million Protection Package. Our members receive reimbursement for stolen funds and personal expenses, like lost wages, as well as coverage for lawyers and experts up to $3 million in total.
When the bank refused to reimburse my stolen money, the $1 Million Protection Package came through for me.
Our restoration guarantee and $1 Million Protection Package are included in all memberships with no additional fees.
I think it's natural to think that you can do this on your own. You can't. You need an expert in your corner.
Call 1-800-360-9220 and use promo code TV35 or go to lifelock.com/TV35 to join today.
As a cardiologist, when I put my patients on a statin to reduce cholesterol, I also tell them it can deplete their CoQ10 levels. I recommend taking Cunol CoQ10. Cunol has 3 times better absorption than regular CoQ10. Cunol, the brand I trust.
Welcome back. FBI agents raiding an election office, Fulton County, Georgia, yesterday. Agents seen entering the county's election hub, operations center. The DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, also on the scene. Ballots, tabulators, phones, computers, boxes, all taken as evidence. Fulton County was the epicenter of Trump's 2020 election fraud claims. A state thought unlosable for Republicans was lost in 2020. It truly made no sense. So what's going on all these years later? The Democrat Fulton County Commissioner Dana Barrett, like many others, are panicked.
I think what you're doing is extremely dangerous.
Why is it dangerous?
Because you're spreading conspiracy theories.
It's not a conspiracy theory. Do you have $45? I'm not undermining. I'm not saying people are voting. If you want to go to.
I appreciate what you're saying. I'm not going to respond to conspiracy theories.
Oh, conspiracy theories. Runs away when confronted with evidence of fraud, by the way. Fulton County recently admitted to verifying hundreds of thousands of ballots in 2020 that did not have poll worker signatures on them. Trump's chief of protocol, Monica Crowley, good friend of the show, writing, President Trump won 2020 in a landslide. You're going to learn soon. What does that mean? Hogan Gidley is America First Policy Institute's Director of Election Integrity. David Shafer is a former Georgia GOP chairman ensnared by Fani Willis's RICO case against the president that completely collapsed. Good to have you both here. David, what is happening in Georgia?
Well, I think we might finally get the answers that we've been seeking for the last 5 years. A federal magistrate obviously authorized a search warrant, and to do that, she had to believe there was probable cause that a crime was committed. And so I think now that those election materials have been taken into the custody of the federal government, I think that answers may soon be forthcoming.
And David, that probable cause related, you believe, to the 300,000 ballots or so that had no signature on them? Maybe?
Well, it could. I mean, there's a number of things that we've learned from the work of the state election board since 2020. I mean, the Fulton County has admitted that thousands of ballots were scanned twice. They've admitted that 18,000 ballot images are missing. And most recently and most sensationally, that there were that they didn't sign the polling place certifications for hundreds of thousands of ballots.
Hogan, you're into this now pretty heavy. I mean, you were in the first Trump administration. What do you see in this? What do you believe is happening? What do you think we're going to learn?
Again, I think finally we'll know exactly what happened or get a better picture of it. Pieces of information are coming out from all over this country. And at the time, there were Republicans and Democrats who remember leading up to that 2020 election concerned about the validity of elections. And they have been in this country for decades. It's nothing new. Both sides of the aisle have been concerned about it. Even CNN did stories about how easy it was to hack into machines and how concerning it was in Georgia. Again, nothing new, but now you have officials coming out saying that they had certified votes that they should not have certified. There were millions done just likewise in Pennsylvania, for example, too. A lot of states did things in that COVID fog that either were totally incompetent, flat out stupid, or malicious. And I think we're going to get to the bottom of it because this administration wants to get to the truth.
This is super interesting. We are going to follow this story. Gentlemen, good to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, coming up here, Ilhan tries to score some major political capital after surviving that salad dressing attack. Next in News from the Left.
Well, I'm fortunate I didn't get to him because I'd probably be catching charges as well.
Hi there, I'm Dean Heskin, President and CEO of Swiss America. Most investors believe their IRA, 401k, and bank accounts are reliable and safe. But what if our economy becomes so dire that you're restricted from accessing your own money? The fact is that should your bank be in trouble for holding bad loans, the burden could fall on you to help bail them out. Even more concerning is that U.S. financial regulations allow banks to impose withdrawal limits on your hard-earned savings. But there's something you can do about it. Our team at Swiss America has a report called The Secret War on Cash. Learn how to protect yourself with assets that can remain outside the control of banks and other financial institutions. For over 40 years, Swiss America has been one of the most trusted metal firms in the country. So don't wait. Call or text the number on your screen today for financial peace of mind in these uncertain times.
Hi, I'm Ben Cozy. Isn't traveling a pain in the neck? You're cramped, uncomfortable, and forget about getting any rest. There's nothing cozy about airplane seats or hard plastic benches, and those so-called travel pillows, they just don't cut it. You don't need another travel pillow. You need Be Cozy, the world's most comfortable neck pillow. Trapped in the middle seat? Wrap Be Cozy around your neck to stop chin drop, bobblehead napping. Smashed up against the window? Fold Be Cozy over and tuck it onto your shoulder for super side support. Frequent flyer miles got you sitting aisle? Turn Be Cozy to the side for the perfect pillow position. Everyone wants to be cozy, so get the world's most comfortable travel neck pillow and be cozy just like me, Ben Cozy. You get to be cozy. Everyone gets a Be Cozy. Only Be Cozy has patented overlapping arms so you get double support and the comfort you need in any seat on any trip. Go online right now and get this exclusive TV offer. Buy one Be Cozy, get one 50% off. Get yours now.
Last year, America's leading wireless provider spent $12 billion on advertising and promotions. That's billion with a B. Pure Talk? They hired me to make their commercials on my iPhone. Consequently, they can offer you unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a blazing fast 5G network for just $25 a month. Yeah, you can keep paying for those billion-dollar ad campaigns if you want, or you can start saving some real money when you switch to Pure Talk. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Some wireless companies say that they stand for something. What exactly do they stand for, and why won't they say it out loud? Let me tell you what Patriot Mobile stands for. They stand for the lives of the unborn. They stand for the Second Amendment and the right to protect yourself and your family. They stand for our veterans and first responders who sacrifice so much for our freedom. Make the switch to Patriot Mobile today and support a company that doesn't just say they stand for something, but one that stands for the things that matter the most.
Welcome back. Time now for News from the Left. Ilhan going on CNN last night bragging about her fake punch moment when she realized that her salad dressing attacker was being taken down by her massive bodyguard. She tried to flex for the cameras to look tough. Here you go.
What would have happened, do you think, if you had gotten to him before your security tackled him?
Well, I'm fortunate I didn't get to him because I'd probably be catching charges as well.
I want to send Ilhan a t-shirt that says, "I am a salad dressing survivor." More from Ilhan this week, comparing Trump's Jewish advisor Stephen Miller to a Nazi. Take a look.
Nobody should ever have hired Stephen Miller, who basically is a copycat of the Nazis, and that's kind of the cruelty that he wants to inflict on people.
Yeah. Allow all the Somalis and the rest of the third world into your country. Let them live forever off your money, or you're a Nazi. That is the standard from Ilhan, who hates America. Next up, Tim Walz still hanging around as governor, but announcing he'll never run for office ever again.
Do you regret jumping out before such a consequential moment?
No. Old white guys who are former governors tend to land on their feet okay, type of thing. But
In all fairness on the timing, I removed myself, and then 2 days later, Renee Good is murdered. But I think one of the things is I have no political consideration, will never run for an elected office again.
Never again.
Never again.
Never again. Walz later claimed in an interview that the fraud that took his career was make-believe. So if that's the case, why did you end your career if it's make-believe? All right, next up, the Breaking Bad star Giancarlo Esposito. Remember this guy? He was like the ultimate kind of badass in the show, pretending real life is one big movie, calling for a revolution in America.
This is time for a revolution. It's time for it, and they don't even know that's what they're starting. You know, some very rich old white men are exerting their power to suppress our own people, thus creating a feeling of civil war in the streets. If the whole world showed up on Putin's doorstep or on the Iranians' doorstep or in Washington, it would stop. They'll kill 550 million, however, but the rest of us would survive with a new. This is time for a revolution.
What an idiot. You know what's so sad about actors? They're so much less impressive than the parts that they play. You see this time and time again. They are a shell of the parts that they play because those parts are written by intelligent people that know how to write and put together drama and theatrics. And then you just get this guy that gets up there and says it and gets all the credit. So unimpressive. And finally, Trump with a hilarious moment earlier today, the cabinet meeting, after he shortened his notoriously long cabinet meeting today. Take a listen.
We are going to ask a couple of people to say a few words, and we're not going to go through the whole table because the last time we had a press conference, it lasted for 3 hours, and some people said he closed his eyes. Look, it got pretty boring. I love this team, but there's a lot of people. It was a little bit on the boring side, but I didn't sleep. I just closed them because I wanted to get the hell out of here.
That's a good one. All right, up next, we're all freezing our butts off in this country. What happened to global warming?
I lost 110 pounds. You couldn't tell at all because of my excess skin. Sono Bello changed that in one visit.
Introducing the new Lift EX, the just one visit, total body transformation everyone is talking about.
I am super happy with my results.
I decided to give Sono Bello a try. Look at me, I have a silhouette. You can see my waist.
Lift EX is Sono Bello's breakthrough 360-degree body lift alternative. Our body contouring experts sculpt, tighten, and lift your stomach, waist, thighs, and backside, all in just one visit with less downtime.
Sono Bello targeted the areas diet exercise could not do. I found me again.
Sono Bello has over 50,000 five-star reviews, and Lift EX is exclusively available at Sono Bello, America's #1 cosmetic surgery specialist. Book your free, personalized consultation today. Easy monthly plans make your best body more affordable than ever.
This year is my year thanks to Sono Bello.
Call Sono Bello for your free consultation today.
Little by little, age-related macular degeneration tries to take away your vision. You're not the type to sit back and do nothing, so now's the time to take action and make a plan with your doctor that includes PreserVision. It contains the clinically proven formula recommended by the NEI to help reduce the risk of moderate to advanced AMD progression. PreserVision is backed by over 20 years of clinical studies, and it's right here in the palm of your hand.
You spent a lifetime becoming who you are. Don't let AMD take that away.
It's your vision. Take action. Choose PreserVision.
Menopause isn't a mystery. With Bonafide's clinically studied hormone-free solutions. Experience fewer hot flashes, less vaginal dryness, greater sexual satisfaction, and more. Bonafide. Relief for every woman. The first day back from maternity leave is so weird. We get it. Find a caregiver who does too. When it's not you, it's care.com.
Since the founding of America 250 years ago, many things have changed. The homes in which we live, the clothes we wear, the jobs we hold, the conveniences we enjoy. But some things never change. The commitment of husband and wife, the importance of passing along our values to our children, the rewards of service to community and country. the faithfulness of God. Some wonder how America has thrived for so long and how we can ensure she continues to. As long as we keep first things first, we've only just begun. America, the beautiful.
A new year brings new threats, and Cyberman's ready for every one of them. While hackers plot their next move, Cyberman's already there, protecting families, businesses, and governments before danger can strike. This year, protect what matters most with easy-to-use, award-winning protection. With PCmatic, you get American-made protection that's faster, smarter, and stronger. Start 2026 with confidence. Visit PCmatic.com today.
You think it's cold now? That blew it away. Whatever happened to global warming?
Finally tonight, it's absolutely freezing. Are you cold? I am. We got a foot of snow in New York right now. It feels like it might not melt till the 4th of July. This weekend, it might snow in Tampa. So whatever happened to global warming? I guess it's a good thing that they changed the catchphrase to climate change years ago. Today, we talked to some very cold New Yorkers.
Hey, my man, we're asking people what happened to global warming.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Global warming, I think it's a facade. I think it's fake.
It's still in the global stage.
I don't know. I could use some of it now.
It's gone.
Nothing happened to global. It never went anywhere.
You're seeing right here.
That's global warming?
Yeah.
The snow?
Yeah.
But that's cold.
It's not cold.
They used to talk about global warming a lot. This is the coldest I think I've ever felt in my life these last 5-6 days. What do you think?
It's definitely been a lot colder than I remember growing up as a child. It's very cold.
Ice Age Part 7 is coming.
Yeah, it is freezing.
I'm cold, yeah. Freezing. What happened to global warming?
I have no idea.
It's not global warming, that you're using the wrong term.
They changed it from global warming to climate change.
The difference in temperatures makes the wind move, the currents go slower and things sit, and anyhow.
Somebody's pressing the button, deciding if it snows or not. I might sound crazy.
This is a lot of snow.
It's a lot of snow.
Does it irk you that people like Al Gore, they fly around in a lot of private jets?
Absolutely.
They burn a hell of a lot of fuel.
Emissions are still going up. When are we going to bring these emissions down?
Does it bother you that the guys that push this, though, that they're all flying around in private jets?
Yeah, that's stupid. Yeah, that's just stupid.
They're telling us that we got to stop this or we're going to kill the Earth.
They're taking a jet to go 1 hour.
Doesn't that reek?
It definitely does.
Are you Newsmax?
Yes, ma'am.
Bless your heart. Thank God someone knows reality. My dad is a World War II veteran. He fought in World War II. He's 101. He watches your show in Arizona all the time.
It's so freaking cold. I mean, it's so cold. We're going to hopefully talk about this a little bit more tomorrow night because, you know, we look at it and the planet's been warming for a lot longer than we've been burning fossil fuels, right? So we're going to talk about that a little bit tomorrow night and what's really going on with global warming, and climate change and all that. It'll be a good conversation on a Friday night. Join us tomorrow night. It's too damn cold to do anything else, right? We'll see you tomorrow. Affinity's up next.